Good morning, Year 2, and welcome back to your online home learning. I hope you've had a wonderful morning so far, and I'm here to join you again for another maths lesson. Just going to share my screen and we'll get going. Okay, here we are. Hopefully you can see what I can see. So just a quick starter to warm up our brains this morning. I have got a question for you relating to the learning you were doing yesterday. Kitty made a tally chart of the birds in her garden. You can see that tally chart on the screen with us now. How many more robins than pigeons did she see? Okay, so you need to look at the data for the robins, look at the data for the pigeons, and I want to know how many more robins than pigeons did she see? Okay, pause the video here and just have a little think. You may want to write a number sentence to help you to find the answer to this. Okay, so let's have a look together then. So I want to look first of all at my data for the pigeons and for the robins. So I can see here the robin, there were 4 robins spotted in the garden. Pigeons, there was 1 pigeon spotted in the garden. So the number sentence I would do to find out how many more robins than pigeons were seen, I would do 4 subtract 1. Okay, to find out how many more, I want to find the difference. So the answer there would be 3. There are 3 more robins than pigeons spotted in the garden. Okay, so just before we begin our learning for today, I'd like you to just pause the video and just have a think about what did we learn to do last lesson, and I'd also like you to think about, to remind yourself, what is a tally chart? Okay, so what did we learn to do last lesson and what is a tally chart? Okay, so last lesson we were looking at tally charts. We started our new unit on statistics and we learned how to draw tally charts. Okay, and what a tally chart is all about. So a tally chart is a quick and easy way of recording data, of recording information. It involves filling in a chart with vertical dashes, so lines, straight lines, representing each time a piece of information is observed. Okay, so often they're used when you're looking at something, for example, the traffic on the road. They're a quick way of recording the number of cars on the road, for example. Okay, so your learning for today then. We're going to be learning about another way we can record data. We're going to be learning about pictograms today. And you're going to be learning to draw pictograms. You may have heard of pictograms before. You may even know what a pictogram is. But if you don't, have a look at that word pictogram and see if there are any words within that word that remind you of another word, thinking about those first 4 letters in particular. Okay, have a think about what a pictogram might be. Okay, let's have a look together then. So a pictogram is a chart that uses pictures to represent data. So looking at those 4 words picked, okay, that might have reminded you of the word picture. So it's a chart that uses pictures to represent data. Pictograms are set out in the same way as bar charts. You may have heard of bar charts before, but instead of bars, they use columns of pictures to show the numbers. Now, often we use the data from a tally chart. We still use a tally chart to collect the information quickly, but then we would draw up the information from the tally chart into a pictogram so that the information is much easier to read and to find out sort of what the information, what the data is showing us. So let's have a look at what a pictogram looks like then. So here is an example of a pictogram. Okay, so as you can see, similar to a tally chart, we have the categories down the side. So this one is showing us hair colour, the different categories, blonde, brown and ginger. Then we can see the pictures to represent the data, and then we can see the total, just like a tally chart. So the only difference is that we have symbols or pictures instead of those tally marks. Okay, now in a pictogram, the symbol stays the same for each category. And this symbol, you know what the symbol is because it's shown in the key. Just before we have a look at what the key is together, I'd like you to look at the key carefully. What do you think the purpose of the key is? Why does a pictogram need a key? What is the purpose of it? Okay, so the purpose of the key tells us what each symbol represents. Okay, so in this pictogram, and for the pictograms that we're drawing today, each symbol or each picture is going to represent one person. Okay, now some pictograms are a little bit more tricky because some pictograms, each picture represents 5 people. Okay, but today we're making it easier for ourselves, and each picture is going to represent 1. Okay, so we can see clearly here the number of people with ginger hair is 4. We can see 4 circles. There's 4 people. Okay, so as you can see, even though the categories are different, the symbol is the same all the way through. Okay, so knowing all of that information about this pictogram, I'd like you to have a go now at completing the missing information. So the first thing I need you to do is to count the number of blonde-haired people to find the total, and then I'd like you to draw the symbols to represent the number of people with brown hair. Okay, now use the key to help you. How do you know how many images to draw? So for example, for the brown category, how do you know how many of those blue circles to draw? What tells you that information? Okay, so we know how many to draw because each symbol or each picture represents 1. Okay, pause the video now and just have a go at drawing out those 2 categories there to complete them. We'll come back together in a moment. Okay, let's share the answers together then. So we can see, if we count the totals of the blondes together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 people with blonde hair, and then for the brown hair, I needed to draw 9 blue circles. The total is 9. Let's just count that there are 9 circles here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So I've made sure as much as possible that my symbols are all the same size, and that's important that they're all the same size. They're all in one row, they're not all jiggity, and they are the same colour, the same symbol as the other categories. They're all the same. Okay, let's look at another pictogram now then. Okay, so this time we've got a tally chart. Okay, now you can see the pictogram here for the fruit. Now this pictogram doesn't have the total. Okay, so not every pictogram has a column to show the total there. Now, we need to try and use the data, the information from the tally chart to help us to complete this pictogram. As you can see, we've got the key here, but again, the key has not been filled in, so we don't know what each symbol represents. Okay, but if you remember when we looked at the last slide, I told you what each symbol was going to represent in this lesson. So have a go at completing the key, and then have a go at using this tally chart to complete each category on your pictogram. As you can see, the apple has been filled in for you. We can see there are 3 tally marks, so there has been 3 symbols drawn there. Okay, so look really carefully, counting the total of the tallies, and that will tell you the number of pictures or symbols you need. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to complete this pictogram now. I'm just going to show you hopefully what your pictogram should look like. Okay, so for banana, we can see there is a tally of 5 and then 1, so that makes 6. So we should have 6 circles next to banana. Now our key is 1, because each symbol is going to represent 1. Now for grape, we can see 4 tally marks. There should be 4 circles in our pictogram. And then look at our pear, we have 5 and 3, which makes 8. So we should have 8 circles for our pear. And then the apple has been done for us already. Okay, so we use the data from the tally chart to help us to complete the pictogram. And the key represents 1. Okay, so we can see here 2 pictograms. I'd like you to look really carefully at these 2 pictograms and think about what is the same about them, what is different. And then think about which do you think is easier to read? Which one is easier to look at and read? Okay, so I'm just going to share with you some of the things I found that were the same and some things that were different, but you may have found different similarities and differences to me. So the same, they are both representing the same data. You can see the same categories there, banana, grape, pear and apple. Okay, they're representing the same data and there's 3 people that chose apple. The things that are different is one pictogram is horizontal, which means it goes across, so this top one here, and one is vertical, which means it goes down, so this one at the bottom here. Okay, so those are just a couple of things I found the same and different. You may have found some other things too. Now I find this top pictogram, the horizontal pictogram, a lot easier to read because I can see really clearly the categories and I can see really clearly going across the symbols. But you may find this vertical one at the bottom is easier to read. Okay then, so let's have a look at another pictogram then. For our practice, we have got a football pictogram. You can see the football symbol here. Now, when you come to draw your own pictogram, you can choose what you would like the symbol to be. All I ask is that you make sure it's an easy symbol to draw, because once you've chosen that symbol, that's the symbol you need to draw every category to represent all of those amounts. Okay, so let's have a look then all together. So we can see our tally chart again. We're going to use the tally charts to help us to complete the pictogram. Teddy has been done for us, so we can see our tally of 2 marks. So Teddy has 2 footballs, okay? Each football is representing 1 goal. So that tells you what the information that has been collected here. So use the rest of the data from the tally chart to complete this pictogram. You may want to draw your pictogram out, just like this one. You may choose you want to draw it the other way round. So Teddy, Annie, Mia, Whitney underneath each other and the footballs going to the side. Once you've completed the tally chart pictogram, I'd like you to have a go at doing the challenge X. So I want you to think about how many goals would Amir have scored if each symbol was worth 2 goals. So if our key were to change and each football, each picture was worth 2 goals, how many goals would Amir have scored? Okay, so let's share our answers then. Hopefully you've had some time now to go through, complete the pictogram and maybe have a think about it as well. Okay, so here we are. So let's look at Annie to start with. So we can see Annie's tally of 5, add 4, which makes 9. So we've got those 9 footballs next to Annie. Then Amir has a tally of 5. So we have the 5 footballs. And then Whitney has a tally of 6. So we have the 6 footballs. So the challenge X, Amir would have scored 10 goals. Because if each football was worth 2 goals, let's count in 2s together. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So each football would be worth 2. So that would equal 10 goals instead of 5 goals. Okay, so let's have a look at your challenge for today then, Year 2. So you have got some more pictures similar to your learning you did yesterday. There's 2 parts to your challenge today. The first part is I'd like you to complete 2 pictograms to show how many of each animal there are, and then another pictogram to show how many of each shape. So 1 pictogram to show how many animals there are, and another pictogram to show how many shapes there are. As your third challenge there, or your second challenge, I'd like you to complete a pictogram to represent the data in this tally chart. Okay, so just like you've done in your learning today and with your practice. Okay, now what I suggest you do is I have uploaded for you, there's a worksheet which you can choose to print off, but if you don't have a printer, then it doesn't matter because you could draw the pictogram yourself. So all the pictogram needs to have in it is, for example, the one to represent the tally chart, needs to have a column that says item, and then pencils, rubbers, rulers, and then the middle column, which will be your pictures, and then the final column, which will say total. Remember, you need to choose a symbol to represent each of these. So, for example, pencils, rubbers, rulers, I may choose that I want to have a symbol of a pencil pot, which I know is nice and easy to draw. So I could draw 4 pencil pots to represent the pencils, 9 pencil pots to represent the rubbers, and 6 pencil pots to represent the rulers. Don't forget to draw your key as well. As a guide, have a look at the worksheet that I've uploaded for you onto Teams. That will show you how you need to lay out your pictograms today. I've also uploaded a Word document which has got each of those 3 tally charts on, if you'd rather print those off and do those as separate pictograms rather than on the worksheet. But this is absolutely something that you will be okay to draw out on your piece of paper if you don't have access to a printer. Okay, so enjoy having a go at drawing those pictograms. Please remember to choose an easy symbol. So for example here, I wouldn't advise trying to draw giraffes, lions and elephants. I would maybe just choose a circle to represent the number of giraffes, lions and elephants. Okay, remember to keep the symbol the same for every category. So for example, for your shape picture, we don't want all the different shapes to represent the shapes, just one symbol that's the same for every category. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so finally then, let's have a look at our challenge X. Here is a pictogram showing the number of counters each child has. We can see Dexter, Alex, Mo and Rosie. How could you improve the pictogram? So what do you think needs to be improved? Why do you think maybe this pictogram isn't quite so easy to read as some others we've looked at today? Pause the video here and we'll share some of those answers in a moment. Okay, so this pictogram is hard to read because the symbols are overlapping each other. So that's one reason. Here you can see all the symbols are crossing over one another. The pictures need to be lined up and evenly spaced. So a nice same amount of space between each symbol. There are different size circles representing data. So some of those circles you can see are really small, some of them are much larger. So the pictures need to be the same size, and there isn't a key. So we need to make sure that for every program we draw, there is a key. Okay, so those are just a few things I thought that could be improved with this pictogram, but maybe you were able to think of some other things as well. Okay, so finally then, to end our maths lesson today, we have got our fluency number sentence. So 18 divided by 3. So you can choose whether you want to share into groups of 3 or whether you want to share into 3 groups. Okay, have a go at that and we'll come back together in a moment. Okay, so the answer to this one would be 6. 6 equal groups of 3, which would equal 18. Okay, well done for your hard work today, Year 2. I hope you've enjoyed learning all about pictograms, and I hope you enjoy having a go at drawing your own pictograms. Have a brilliant rest of your day, and I'll see you a little later on. Bye-bye for now.